Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to Sam and Max Hit the Books. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And I hope everybody's staying safe out there and healthy. And we are going to be talking about the books that came out on the 11th of March in 2020. So I will launch us off with the big new release by Jonathan Hickman and I think it's Mike Huddleston. Yes?
Yep.
Decorum, the first part of an Image comic series. We're lightning rounding this because I didn't like this that much. The art is definitely going for something very specific.
Yeah, that's true.
That I think that some people might like. Like it's a very straight, like it almost seems like a different coloring and like ink finishing job was done to every page or at least every scene.
That's true. I did like the little sci-fi bits. The full pages of this universe. This is what happens. They have these nurseries on these planets.
The infographic stuff.
The infographic stuff. Yes, I liked all that.
Yeah, and that is what this is. It's a Jonathan Hickman comic from beginning to end because very little happens. It's all set up. It's full of infographics, many of which are like completely unintelligible. Like for now, I'm sure later. We're gonna learn a little bit more about.
It's just the very outside of things, but we know that the most of civilization is in this bottom chunk, and then the singularity robot things are colonizing this chunk, and they're at a standstill.
Well, there you go. But my question for you is: did you enjoy this issue of comics?
I thought it was okay. I didn't love the art, like you said.
It's very good art. That's the thing. Like, it's very technically good art.
Right. The coloring.
The coloring is so experimental. And it's even more experimental, I feel like, than other... Like, I haven't experienced Huddleston too much, but I do have at least one other graphic novel by him that's colored much more interestingly than this.
There's a lot of white space in this. And then the actual part of the plot that isn't just, dystopian sci-fi world. That's where it was really like, for me.
There was one thing that I really liked in the issue, and that's when the one guy hand lasered apart the other guy's head and his like top of his head popped off and his like just the way he has this like grid of lasers that run between his hands that he puts on either side of the guy's head. That was cool. I was in for that. And then the book slowly lost me over the course of like 40 pages or whatever this is.
Yeah, it's long.
So honestly, we'll probably continue because that's the thing is it's just the first chapter of a Jonathan Hickman story. He writes like their novels.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So I'm giving it a 3.
Okay, it's a 5 for me.
All right, interesting. We'll continue. We'll continue it. But we'll see.
Either way. Moving on, we're talking about Punisher Soviet, issue number 5 by Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows. And a lot of stuff happens in this issue.
It's a good issue. I liked this one.
Yeah. So the woman who worked for the boss, the boss's wife, one of his wives, his non-departed wife, she jumps off a cliff.
She does. So she takes herself out of the equation.
Yeah. I thought that was good. And then a bunch of people get shot by Punisher and his buddy.
You think she's alive? We don't see a body. So I feel like she's got to be alive, right?
I mean, I don't really feel like she matters enough.
But they even bring it up later. The guy, Proshenko, is like, do you think she survived? Frankly, I think she's pizza, or whatever he says.
Yeah,
but
she could, but then it would just be like, oh, wow, she lived.
We'll see, I suppose.
Yeah. But, they raid Pachenko's guys.
Oh, Pachenko's the bad guy.
Isn't he?
You're probably right. I was referring to our hero friend.
Ah, yes. I like him. I don't know his name. But yeah, him and Punisher, they shoot some guys.
Good Punisher action.
Do some good stuff. They drop the tracking device that they get from the woman on a truck, and the fools follow it forever. And then they raid their base, and the fools have to come back. But, then they get pinned down because there's a helicopter. And then his buddy, he dies.
He gets a rotor through the side.
Yeah, he gets one of those big old blades right through him while he's shooting down that helicopter. Very sad. We'll see how Punisher decides to continue on after this.
Yeah, I really was expecting them to have some sort of showdown for some reason, so I was very surprised by the end.
Yeah, that they didn't end up killing. Well, Punisher didn't end up having to kill him himself.
Yeah. And I liked it was good. The Burroughs art was very good in this issue. I liked everything. Very clear, good action.
Yeah, that is true. It's a 7.
It is a 7.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next up, we're going to talk about issue 18 of Transformers. That's by Brian Ruckley and Umi Meow. Meow? Meow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, I really thought things were going to start picking up. And they kind of did, but you don't want picking up to be a whole issue of what essentially is like a little side story next to the main plot instead of the actual plot.
Right. This is just to show us like people are getting out of Dodge.
Yeah, and it's like we need to set up RC as being like super dangerous so that when we bring these characters back later, you remember who this is.
Right. Yeah. After they come back in space.
Right, because they're going off with all of the non-Autobot, non-Decepticon robots that don't want to be part of the war, and they're like abandoning the planet. And the tether's falling, and there's a lot of action happening as the tether's falling. And for an issue where essentially it never stops moving, I was surprisingly annoyed by it.
I can understand that.
The art was pretty good. I'm giving it a 4.
Yeah, I think 4 is right.
Yeah.
It just wasn't very interesting is the thing.
This is not what we needed. Issue 18.
Yeah. 18. So true. So now we're going to Thor, issue number 4 by Donny Cates and Nick Klein.
Say that 3 times fast.
And yeah, so the Death Winter is it's coming, and yeah, Thor has a little bit of a standoff with is this Sif, that's the one. Yeah, but then Sif kind of just backs down.
It's continuing the plot.
What did you think of the Loki moment?
Do you think that Loki actually picked it up, or the Hannah was just getting ready to head back, and Loki was holding it while it was happening?
Yeah, you happened to be picking it up, and it kept going.
I mean, if not for the narration, you would think that's definitely the case.
I think that's definitely the case.
But the whole thing about this is a story, but this is a story for another time.
Right,
it's Donny Cates.
I mean, somebody could eventually make a story. Why wouldn't they eventually make a story of Loki wielding Mjolnir? I think he was just having a hearty heart.
I hope we're right about this. What do you think of all of Galactus' power-ups as he ate the planets and became increasingly more anime ultimate villain-esque?
It was hilarious. Galactus was great in this. And Thor was good too, as he's powering up Galactus. Oh yeah, super ultimate. Just he's radiating like Galactus as they're taking out Jellyfish World and Bear World and Praying Mantis World.
Yeah, those are the guys. That's the guy who works on Babylon 5. The back alley where it's gonna be expensive.
The shady dealer.
But yeah, Galactus goes all straight up like Super Saiyan 2, 3, and 4 across 3 panels.
Yes, he does. And then, yeah, Thor's not even able to save the ones of the last world before Galactus just swallows that planet up.
Because the Black Winter's here.
Because Black Winter is here.
And Thor's going to fight it blind. So that it can't scare him by appearing to be...
Might scare him to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Galactus is going to fight. And then Thor says he and Galactus are going to have it out if they survive. We'll see how that is. So, I enjoyed this. I think it's a 7.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Good art. It's
a
7. I liked it a lot. It's what we want. Next up is going to be Hawkman by Robert Venditti and Fernando Passarin. I'm going to find that credits page.
Fernando, I believe it.
Oh, I got it right. Okay, so, yeah, Hawkman. This arc is winning me back. We're getting back a little bit into more what the series is supposed to be about.
It's true. This is a lot more in line with what's been going on.
I'm even more confused about how Shiara
exists.
And the other hot girl are... What's their... Somebody, please tell us what the deal with the Hawk people is. But I know I could look it up on a wiki, but I don't want to. I want to hear somebody tell me.
Right, how do they exist at the same time?
What's going on here? But, we got some good Adam Strange and some good The Atom. And
yeah, Adam Strange and the Atom.
Evil Hawkman is all dangerous and scary, and there's good action, and it's entertaining. And I hope that this plotline gets to end in this book, and it's not going to be like, the finale is in the Year of the Villain special, and then we come to Hawkman issue 23, and it's just like the next story starting.
Yeah.
But pretty entertaining. I liked it all right. This was a 6 for me.
Yeah, it was 6 for me as well. And
yes.
Now, just for clarification, we did drop Bloodshot. However, the comic book store
they
picked
ordered
up one more issue. Right, of course.
Yeah.
So we got one last issue 7 of Bloodshot.
Because you got to pick up your pulls from the comic book store, especially if they weren't ordering it for anybody else and only for you.
Exactly. Now, who was on this?
This has got to be Seeley. And,
is Seeley.
I don't know who this Lamming is.
Lamming.
Andy Lamming. That's my guess. Wait.
Is it on that page?
Mark,
yes, Mark Lamming. And, so what happens in this
We'll really
issue?
summarize this one.
Yeah.
Bloodshot goes on the mission, and the Burned betrays him.
Yeah, it turns out that the Burned betrays him. Oh, why am I in the guy they're called the Burned?
But this is part of their recruitment. He's now actually burned because they burned him, but does that mean they still want him to join? We may never find out.
I think they just want his nanites.
They're just using the nanites. They didn't just use his nanites to fuck up the mission to burn him. That's what my read was.
To burn him.
Yeah. We may see. We'll see how many, if the because I think they have to order like 4 months in advance, so we might be getting 1 or 2 more after this. That we'll also briefly run through.
They burned him. They gave him some things that reprogrammed his nanites. The stuff that made him able to refract light or something.
Yeah, and then it like causes all the monsters in this lockup to go nuts.
Right. Yeah, the monsters. And the monster page is kind of cool. The one where they get to the
very end it's very what's that horror movie, the Joss Whedon one that's like, Cabin in the Woods.
Oh. Yeah, I suppose so. I just thought any alien menagerie.
Yeah, very true.
There's that old Superman 2-parter with Lobo.
Right.
But this was alright.
Yeah,
I give it a 6.
We already dropped it. It was alright. I don't like this guy's art compared to Brett Booth, who was doing the earlier issues. So this one's a 4 for me.
Alright.
Okay, so that was the lightning round, and we're going to move into the full reviews with the 32nd issue of the Immortal Hulk. That's by Al Ewing and Joe Bennett.
As it should be.
Bro, this issue was good.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Ewing is going hard, like South Park hard, at nostalgia. This is straight, like, member-berry overdrive here.
Yeah.
Just everything about the way that this other Hulk is able to affect the play. And, like, he's basically using nostalgia to control the world and change everybody's memories.
Yeah.
And the way that the book mentions that, so he's essentially weaponizing the Mandela effect. That was super cool.
Yeah. And he's using the TVs and stuff, the idiot tube. And
they're talking to us because every issue so far has had these panels where the eyes are staring straight out at us, the reader.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he horribly devours the guy. Like, his whole body, like, changes into a robotic sarlacc pit on 4 legs.
Yeah. With tentacles and all.
It's a great 2-page spread. Like, Minotaur Dario Agger pouring himself a shot from, like, that's a full-size glass to us, but he's pouring it like it's one of those airplane whiskey bottles.
Yeah.
And then Bruce Banner, who has been reprogrammed into Robert Bruce Banner, a terrorist, is extremely creepy.
Yeah, he is. He locked away the Hulk.
And so what did you think about the reveal that the reason why our doctor scientist character was more resistant to Xemnu's mind control than anyone else is because they're transgender?
All right, they.
Or she. She's
I,
oh, my bad. My bad, excuse me. I think it's a she, you're right.
Yeah. She replies when everybody calls her she. So, yes, I thought, okay, she's transgender. That's cool.
And she said, actually says it in the issue, too.
Right. She says, I'm transgender. How else would you know?
Right, yeah. I mean, I guess in the earlier issues, or the previous issue, there was all this talk about her huge medical bills, that we had no idea why she would have huge medical bills, and that was supposed to be our clue.
Oh, interesting.
But I am confused by this idea. I mean, the book frames it as, like, she's used to living a life that's not really her own, so she recognizes it when somebody's trying to force another life on her. But to me, with an attack of this nature, it's almost like her brain works differently, like, than anybody else's, and that's why she's resistant. And I
didn't even realize that she was talking about the two things.
Oh no, she says
together.
That. You know I'm trans, right? And I think that's why. And she has a whole thing about, like, I think it's because
people are trans. So are they all affected that way, or is it only because she's trans and a scientist? Because I'm sure there's other trans scientists.
I'm sure you're right. That's what I'm saying. This is a very weird... I mean, we're just not seeing any of those characters. So it is possible that there's a whole bunch of other people out in the universe who are like, oh, I'm not as affected by this weird thing.
It's probably not just this one abnormality.
Right. And we did see our other character, who we only saw on, like, news footage, the reporter lady, talking about how she's having trouble with it, too, because she remembers the Hulk, like, killing her family, but also the Hulk is the one everybody loves.
Oh, yeah.
So, dude, this issue's good.
This issue is good.
And I haven't even gotten to the fact that at the very end, who shows up in the depths behind the green door where a regular angry Hulk is trying to get out. No idea where
breaks the glass.
Devil Hulk is. But then Warbound Hulk shows up. Yeah, the World Breaker, baby. Literally the strongest Hulk.
Yay.
And I could not be more psyched for Planet Hulk to be one of the Hulks.
Like, this page is great because he's so a Hulk compared to Hulk.
He really does look like Hulk had another Hulk out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this issue was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm giving it an 8.
It's an 8 for me, too.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Awesome stuff.
Next up, we've got X-Men by Jonathan Hickman. And I know this. It's Mahmoud Asrar. Mahmoud.
Asrar.
Mahmoud or Asrar. I didn't know this. This is different.
The New Mutants chased us to the main X-Men book. And of all of them, Sunspot.
Yeah, Sunspot has chased us. And, I mean, he's definitely a little less annoying in this because he's not constantly monologuing at us.
He's not the narrator, thank God.
Yeah. And Cyclops is around, which is good.
I mean, it is the Cyclops book.
Yeah, so good for that.
Brood are showing up.
Yeah, because they stole an egg from those carriers, those damn New Mutants, when they were in space and brought it back to Earth, and so the Broods have to chase the King Egg. Right,
because the King Egg fucks up the Brood way of life.
Right, they only have the Queen.
Right, and did they say multiple Queen Eggs hatch, or no Queen Eggs will hatch while there's a King Egg? It's one of the two.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
I think probably the second, because they probably want multiple queens, but I don't know about that. Yeah, so they gotta get that egg out of there.
I was surprised that they didn't portal the egg through... Oh, I mean, I guess they did go up to the moon right away. So.
Right, but they could portal further, maybe, if that other one had grown.
Can't they portal straight back to Shi'ar space? Didn't Cyclops ask them if he could leave?
Right, does it grow right away?
Oh, that's a good point. It might not be ready yet.
Is that how they got home? They grow together. Well, anyway.
Oh, yeah. No, I think Cyclops flew back with the other New Mutants who didn't stay, because Sunspot stayed.
Right. That makes sense that he would fly back.
Yeah.
So maybe it hasn't grown yet.
I think we hit it. That's a good fan explanation, at least.
Yeah. But yeah, so Cyclops, he got a little gang together, and they're going to get that egg out of there, starting from the moon to turn that Brood away from Earth. So, there was action.
Ronan showed up?
Yeah, Ronan showed up and had a conversation with Sunspot.
Yeah, this was actually, I was very excited by this because Jonathan Hickman writes a dope Gladiator.
Right.
So I love it whenever Gladiator shows up in a Hickman
And
book.
who's Gladiator's little boy?
That is Gladiator's son, Kid Gladiator.
Oh, that's his name, Kid Gladiator?
Yeah.
That's a nice name.
Yeah, it makes sense for him to have a son since Superman also has a son. Because Gladiator's Superman, right?
Makes sense that he is. He looks like Superman.
Gladiator's real name is Calark.
Calark.
And he's the last survivor of his world.
Nice.
But yes, Gladiator and Kid Gladiator versus Ronin.
Right, because we're in Marvel Comics. There isn't already a Superman.
Right. Oh yes, there's like 6 Marvel Supermen. There's Hyperion, there's Sentry. Like they're out there.
No, of course.
But yeah, pretty good issue.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a 7 for me.
It is a 7. I agree. Next up, we have got the 24th issue of Venom by Donny Cates and Mark Bagley. Blowing it out of the water, Mark Bagley, drawing Carnage the way we want him to look.
That's true. The fake out.
The fake out. So it's great because this had to be it.
It is great because that is what you wanted it to be.
Yeah, the Carnage symbiote is the one that got back to Eddie first. They were racing towards each other, and then Eddie passed out, and he woke up on the plane, and the island was nuked. And but no, it's actually just minutes later. The Carnage symbiote has been putting this fantasy into his head about how Null has already been on Earth destroying everything.
Just Eddie looks out the window, and there's Null just breaking down the city, as giant as life,
Godzilla size. Yeah. And but even worse than that, Captain America is going to take his son away from him and is calling him a bad father.
Oh yeah, that was sad.
And guilting him for not telling them that Null was coming and making him feel real bad about it. And when Captain America scolds you, that's the America's dad scolding you. But yeah, Bagley's Cletus Cassidy. Thank you.
That is how Cletus Cassidy should look.
Yes, thank you. It doesn't make sense that Carnage has a glowing eyes and mouth, but that is what Carnage looks like.
Yeah, he looks really good.
Mark Bagley, please stay on the book. I really like Ryan Stegman's art, and I know he's coming back. I'm sure it's him.
He does a great job.
Man, Bagley though.
yeah, he's really good at drawing symbiotes.
And Dylan can go into hammer space and exist in hammer space to mess with symbiotes over a long distance.
We don't know that his body actually left his room, I don't think, because he walks through the portal, sure, but for all we know, his body just collapsed on the other side of that portal in his room, and he's just astral projecting.
Right, and Sleeper is just sitting there going wake up, Dylan.
Maybe.
His little kitty body, pawing at him.
Oh, no, that's a sad image.
But apparently, Dylan can not only control symbiotes, but it seems like he's going to be able to give the Venom symbiote a little bit of a power-up.
It seems that way, yeah.
If they're going to even try to take down the Carnage symbiote, which is so overpowered. And the power-up is great because he makes the Venomsaurus.
Yeah.
The old man Logan style giant Tyrannosaur, which has a surprise. I don't know why he looks pregnant. They really gave him a fat belly.
That's true, but it's fun.
Dude, this
Dylan, man, what is going on with that mini little Brock who can communicate, or at least feel the hive, and control symbiotes?
Yeah, I'm wondering whether
portals.
he's going to have to be sacrificed in some way to beat Null.
Yeah, I know, because he seems pretty powerful. Seems like, where are you going to go with this kid? Is he going to be a new superhero someday?
Because even Sleeper mentions, only Null is supposed to have the ability to do what you're doing.
Right, yeah.
So, this book continues to be very good. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm going to give this an 8.
It's an 8 for me as well.
All right.
And lastly, we're talking about Green Lantern, Season 2, Issue 2, by Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp.
Oh, yeah.
And, so in this one, Hal Jordan, he gets together with an old friend, of his?
I don't know if it's an old friend. I think that it's somebody he recently met up with on a Tinder-style app, because when the dad talks to him, she's like, he met you on a swipe date or something.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess Hal's on a date.
Yeah. yeah, no, he's just hanging out with this girl, because Hal's a beatnik now.
Right, that's true. He's a drifter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the things he says are hilarious when he talks about on this authoritarian suicide sphere that birthed us, when he's talking about Earth. Like, this is not ultra right-wing space cop Hal Jordan. This is like classic, the Wanderer, as you said.
Yeah. Yeah, I have not been previously acquainted with this Hal Jordan so much.
Yeah, nobody has. There's a lot of people who read this book and are like, what is happening? This is not what I'm used to with Green Lantern comics.
But he's still doing his job. There's these crazy masks.
Very Star-esque.
These avian creatures that were here on the planet Earth before humanity and have lived in the bowels below the Earth for a long time. They sent out these masks that seem to control people.
Yeah, but the leader of these avians is able to control through some kind of whistle that he does.
Yeah, he does the whistle. And he's about to hatch a whole army that's going to take over the Earth. But Hal Jordan's there. And, at first he strangles him. But then he explains that the Earth is just full of people who are just so overpowered that they're just going to get punched so much.
Right, because it's these two bird guys. It's like the deposed ruler and the upstart who wants to kill all the humans, and the other guy supposedly wants to just have some sort of relationship with humanity and also live on Earth. And Hal's like, well, the first guy, that ain't gonna win because there's too many superheroes. And second guy, oof, humanity. I don't know.
Yeah, so he offers him another home somewhere, and
after this has all really been just a trick, because what Hal really needed to do is what he heard from the deposed king guys, is whoever the kids see.
Yeah, whoever first. They see first. So of course Hal has to trick him so that he's seen first by the kids,
so they imprint.
Of course, he manages to do that.
And what does Hal say when the children are born? He goes, "It's beautiful."
What does he say when the children are born?
It's a great line.
This is a great line. He says, "Hey kids, Uncle Hal wants a world. Be good. Wait.
Be your best selves and never follow charismatic leaders." As he's like,
Yeah. And at that point, the two alien rulers are just like, "Oh, shit. We're done."
Yeah, they just stop fighting. It's over.
Yeah, nothing they can do there.
And now our interstellar beatnik with no responsibilities except for policing the galaxy's got himself some kids. And I don't know if he looks super pleased about that on the last page.
It doesn't seem like it. But yeah, so he's got a bunch of avian thingies.
Really gross vultures with bald guy heads.
Yeah. So this was a pretty fun issue. I also give this one an 8.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was a pretty solid issue. Pretty straightforward. Not a lot of ooh, what could this be? And what does this mean? It's pretty self-contained. I think 8 is right for this.
It does a good job.
And just Liam Sharp just really going with the full classic rendering style on so many of these illustrations. It was practically a romance comic from how lovingly he was illustrating everybody's faces. And come on, didn't you love it when Hal said, "I believe I can help, Eve, but my methods are often unsightly and seldom withstand rational scrutiny."
Of course.
It was great. All right, well, that was all the books for this week, everybody. Thanks so much for listening once again. And stay safe out there. Stay healthy. Stay dry if you're in one of the rainy areas like we are. And we'll be back in the very near future with even more comic reviews.
Don't buy all the toilet paper.